In this episode, I'm excited to bring on Allan Misner from the 40 Plus Fitness podcast. He's a fellow personal trainer and corrective exercise specialist. And in this episode, he goes into his story of how he got into the field and seeing that there wasn't too much available out there for the 40 plus crowd, which is the group that needed it the most. He talks about turning fitness and working out from more of a chore to something you're passionate about. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Before I begin, I'd just like to point out that I just started a new Facebook group for over 40 fitness hacks, and I'll put the link in my show notes if you're interested. This is just a way I can connect with my community and see if people have any other questions that they'd like to hear episodes on, hear what other like-minded individuals are doing over 40, things people are trying, successes, failures, and also just for motivation purposes. Once again, I'll have that link in the show notes. Let's continue on with the episode. This is part 1 of 3 of an interview I did with Allan Misner from the 40 Plus Fitness podcast. All right, Allan, thanks for coming on my show. To have another fellow colleague out there that's owned some gyms, personal training, you've been doing a lot longer than me. And I'd love to tap into some of those stories. We got some great topics for my podcast, Over 40 Fitness Hacks. I think we wanted to start with
it's a concept where I think a lot of people really look at fitness and they hate it. Like, I don't like to sweat. How many times have you heard someone say, I don't like to sweat. I don't like working out. I don't like exercising. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm intimidated by the gym. What I've come to understand is that I changed my life because I started looking at fitness as a different thing. Fitness was about getting joy and happiness out of life. And so the story went like this. I was way out of shape and I was feeling terrible about myself, but I wasn't doing anything about it. In fact, I referred to myself as the fat bastard. And that's how I lived. I lived as the fat bastard. And my daughter calls me up. She's getting into CrossFit. She's doing the mud runs. And I'm thinking, that's exactly who I was when I was her age. That was me. She's like reliving my life. And she says these words to me. She says, Daddy, I'm going to be doing this CrossFit competition. Would you come watch? And I'm like, whoa. I'm not meant to be a spectator in my daughter's life. I'm meant to be a participant. So I did this kind of silly thing. I signed up for a Tough Mudder with her. I said, let's do a Tough Mudder. Now, for those that don't know, a Tough Mudder is a 12 to 13 mile run. It's not done on the road, so it's not like a little half marathon.
Lots of hills and obstacles.
They put it in the most terrible places that you'd ever want to run. And then they just throw in 25 obstacles just to spice it up a bit. So it is a grueling little thing. And like I said, no business doing that. I was at least 60 pounds overweight, not fit, not any of it. But what it did, it lit a fire under me that now going to the gym and doing these things was about training. It was not exercise. It was not a workout. It was training. It was training to be the father I was supposed to be and to finish that race on my daughter's terms. I didn't want her to have to slow down or wait for me or be concerned that I might kick at any minute. I wanted to run that race at her pace. And I did it. I lost 6 pounds of fat.
Just training for that Tough Mudder?
Yes, just training in 8 months, lost 66 pounds of fat, gained 11 pounds of muscle, grip strength, and just the stamina necessary to be able to do that race and enjoy it and make that a very joyful thing, not just something I killed myself to do. Now, but what I recognize is that, okay, that's my story and that's what I needed to be for myself at that point in time. Not everybody needs that. You don't need to be the CrossFit guy. You don't need to be the person that does these Tough Mudders or these crazy things. You just need to be the best you. And so I look at fitness and I say, okay, what training do I need to be better for what I do? Now I'm running a bed and breakfast. So I've got to carry, I'm the porter coming with their luggage. Honey, take their bags up. So I'm carrying all these heavy baggage, sometimes for people a lot younger than me, up the stairs because that's one of my jobs at Lula's. And so, yeah, I got to be able to carry a luggage. I got to be able to do this. I moved into a new office space. So I'm moving my own furniture and things like that. I want to be able to do that. So that's what I trained for. But I want to tell you a story about a guy named Glenn. So Glenn loved golf. Okay. He bought a house on a golf course and he played golf every day. Well, Glenn was about 80 when I was sitting in a golf cart with him. And usually this was the time when he would drop me off and I'd go visit other family members. But he wasn't dropping me off. He wasn't going to play golf with the guys. So I'm like, what's going on? And he says, well, I can't play anymore. I'm like, cool. Well, do you want to go to the range and we'll just hit some balls and work on your balance? He's like, no, I can't play. Like, I don't have the balance. I can't play. So he had to give up golf at the age of 80. Now, a lot of people would say, well, he's 80. Okay. So he's old. His days are numbered. He lived 15 more years. So the last 15
Wow.
years of his life, he did not get to do the thing he loved the most in his life. Now, that would be bad enough, except by the time he was 90, he was living in an assisted care apartment. He could not make it to the bathroom in time. So when he realized he had to go, he wasn't going to make it.
That's the reason he wanted to quit.
Well, did golf because his balance. Couldn't swing a club because his balance had degraded so much. Balance is a trainable skill. It is a fitness modality that you can train. And again, a lot of it was probably leg strength and gait and all the other things that he had lost. But he was losing this. And then he lost his ability to make it into the bathroom in time. So I didn't even see him the last 5 years of his life. This was my grandfather. Okay. And so I tell people, it's like when I look at fitness, is a lot of different things. Fitness is my capacity to do a tough mutter, my capacity to carry luggage, my capacity to take care of my wife. And yes, to be able to wipe my own ass when I'm 105.
Hmm.
Okay. And so as you think about fitness, if you're someone that just says, well, I want to get more fit, but I don't want to exercise. I don't like exercise. I don't like working out. I don't like sweating. I don't like the gym. Well, be thinking, do you need those things to live your life the way you want to live your life? And there's this thing called sarcopenia and osteopenia that are going to slowly degrade us and make us frail. So if we're not going to do those things, we're not going to be who we want to be. And it can be something as simple as opening your own jar of pickles. The first time you find yourself that you cannot open a jar of pickles, you just lost your independence. It's that simple. So if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of the people around you, then you're not fit for task.
Yeah.
And so think of training as being fit for task.
That hits home for me as well. By the time I hit 38, I had a pretty vicious back injury, moving gym equipment like an idiot, not hiring someone to do it, right? Preaching to the choir here.
Yeah,
And
I would
blowing
do
out
it.
my L5S1. And it's been 5.5, almost 6 years. And that philosophy is exactly what I had to learn the hard way, that powerlifting, bodybuilding, doing all these crazy runs, I didn't want them or need them anymore. I wanted my back and I wanted my
Yeah.
balance and I wanted to be able to just go to the gym and feel good. And so that's what I've adopted and that's what I preach now. I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to be a NFL
Yeah.
athlete, running back. So
No, but we want to be, when we have grandkids, we want to be able to roll on the floor with them. We don't want to be sitting in a rocking chair. If I was going to take a grandkid to the zoo, I don't want to be sitting on a bench at the entrance waiting for them to come back through when they finish and asking them, how was your day at the zoo? I want to be running with them. I want to be playing with them. I want to be a part of their life, a participant, not a spectator. So as you just look at things, if you're lacking in the reason why, that's your why. Your why is to live the best life you can, to be there with your family, to have those joyous, wonderful moments. And you do that by keeping yourself fit. So if you think of it as training and not a workout, it's really going to change the way you look at it. And you're much more likely to stay consistent.
something recent that happened to my family, my mom was just pruning some bushes and on a little slope siding. Since then, they fixed it and made it that tiered off approach where it's flat areas. But she slipped and not even that hard and put her hand out, but it was hard pavement and broke both her radius and ulna. She's 74 and she works out a little bit, mostly a little Pilates machine. All the harping for me over the years of you need balance training because slips, trips, and falls are real. And the better balance you have and better strength training you have to keep those bones dense can help with that. So since that, she's all repaired and we've gotten her a power plate and I'm helping her build up little programs and she cannot have this again after going through that experience at this age.
Yeah.
She used to fall off. This is from horse riding back in the day, but this is different now. So
Yeah,
you can't take chances.
we don't bounce. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't bounce.
Thank you for listening. And I just wanted to put out there, if anyone has any questions about dieting, working out, supplements, fasting, I can go on and on with all the different topics on this show. Please check out my show notes for my email or check out my website contact page. And let me know what your question is, and I'll do a whole episode about it. One of the funnest parts of training clients is, everyone's different, has different issues. There's always that one thing that kind of catches me off guard, and I might actually have to do a little research for it, but I love playing that personal trainer detective. So please reach out if you have something, and thanks for listening. If you'd like a little bit of help checking out your diet and your current routine, I'd be happy to help. I always do a free 15-minute Zoom consultation for anyone, no strings attached, just to see if I can help point you in the right direction. So if you're interested, check out the show notes. The link is at the top.